Hi, this is Michael William Denny of ThunderShamanism.com, and today we're going to be talking about another chapter in the book, Mounting Sleipnir. And so today I want to talk about the Teutonic creation myth. And this is so interesting to me for so many reasons, and I hope I can elaborate some of the more salient points here. But again, the main thing here is to take a look at this and look at the Vedic connection and see how we can, really expand our understanding of our ancestral background. But the creation myth has aspects of it that you can't find in Vedic myth. The Vedic society was starting to become an empire society. It was starting to become more, quote, civilized. And so some of the more basic, deep shamanic aspects were starting to become more refined. And in the Germanic, they were still very tribal. Up until the Romans contacted them, they were still living in their very primal Indo-European state. And so that's reflected in the creation myth. So as the creation myth goes, there was there was this yawning chasm, which was just pure emptiness. But this emptiness was not without power. It was actually so powerful. It was pure potential, which is, the most incredibly powerful thing there is. Like nuclear weapons. That's what makes them so powerful. What you're tapping into with nuclear weapons is the power of the emptiness within the nucleus. That's where you get all the power. That's where the sun gets all its power, by the way, too. It's from the emptiness. In the middle of the sun is this little mini Gununga gap, which is pure just emptiness, where the gravity, creates nuclear fusion to explode and create the power of the sun. So the Teutonic creation myth starts with that. We've got the Gununga gap, and we've got the mist world in the north, and we've got the fire world in the south. So we have these two primal forces of water and fire. And a spark from the fire world mixes with a drop of water from the water world in Gununga Gap and creates this huge explosion, which we would call the Big Bang, and that creates our entire universe. And again, this is so primal, but what's so interesting about it is that we find this not in just Indo-European religion, we find it in all kinds of religions. Again, I'm not Abrahamic, but, there were things in the Abrahamic tradition which are clearly taken from their, pre-Abrahamic shamanic tradition where, in the beginning, it was null and void, everything was null and void, there was this emptiness. And, in the Taoist tradition, the same kind of scenario you have from this emptiness, what they call the Wu Qi, which is pure potential, comes, the three ones, which becomes the five elements. We have this explosion of life that comes from this emptiness. And so this was really, really gratifying for me to see, because it shows me that, yes, my ancestors were connected to that same understanding, and were reaching really far back into shamanic understanding. So, that's this aspect of really finding the true roots of our shamanic connection is really important. By the way, while I'm on the subject, this myth clearly shows an extremely ancient origins. And as it so happens, something very ironic I found out not too long ago. Somebody was doing a DNA analysis of Paleolithic bones from Northern Europe. And so this was supposedly the oldest bone fragment that anybody had, tried to put together a DNA sequence to find out, the first humans in Europe, what they were like. Well, as it turns out, the oldest ethnic group surviving today in Europe is the Scandinavian. And the Germanic tradition actually came from Scandinavia. It came from Scandinavia and sort of went east a little bit. And then, so Scandinavia is our roots, is where all the Germanic people come from. So what's ironic about that is that means that the so-called, white race is the more closely connected to the first Africans that showed up in Europe. So that means that even though my skin is white, right, whiter than a lot of other people, from a DNA perspective, I'm actually more closely related to those first dark-skinned Africans. So why that's ironic is because that's what, white supremacists want to hang on to, is that, their Nordic roots. Well, if you want to hang on to that, then you can be proud of the fact that you are more closely connected to Africans than any other group in Northern Europe. So anyway, that's the fun about that. But, on a practical note, it just means that we're really connecting. The Germanic people and the Germanic traditions are among the oldest in the world. I mean, we're talking at least 50,000 years. So this is very exciting, and it's so important that we connect to that root where we all came from, regardless of what changes have happened. Our language and our religion still is the same, even though we may have changed. My complexion may have changed from that of those first Germanic people who settled in Scandinavia 50,000 years ago. But the gods are still the same, and they're still my ancestors, and they can still speak to us and through us and connect us to the gods. So enough of that. So you can get the book, Mounting Sleipnir. There's the link there. Go ahead and get that. You can go right on Amazon and buy that. Again, Celestial Qigong. I'm pounding it because, listen, my job is to help you. My job is to give you information and to help you find power if you're a shaman. It's the most powerful energy practice that I've ever experienced, next to the spirit fighting, which can only be done in person. But I strongly recommend you get that if you want to be a powerful shaman and have success in your rituals. And then I also recommend apprenticeship, shamanic apprenticeship, which just means that we work together once a week. And you only sign up a month at a time. If you do, you're going to get eventually over $3,000 worth of free stuff. So if you're buying all my books and my DVDs and all that, great, you can go ahead and do that. You have my permission to do that. I'm happy to provide that for you. But you might as well just become an apprentice and save yourself a ton of money and get a deeper, more empowered training. So that's it for now. Until the next chapter in Mounting Sleipnir, that's it.